Welcome to 5 Minutes with Gavin Scott, and today's subject is Kenneth Grahame, who was born in 1859 in Edinburgh. When he was 5, his mother died of scarlet fever, and his lawyer father, who had a drinking problem, sent the children to live with their grandmother in a big old house near the River Thames. There wasn't enough money for young Kenneth to go to university, so he went to work for the Bank of England and rose to become its secretary, until in 1908 he had a furious argument with one of the directors and retired to a house by the river, where he told his son Alistair the bedtime stories that became The Wind in the Willows. Apart from the wonderful adventures of Mr. Toad, there are also passages in the book that are clearly not principally aimed at children, but which, in my view, rank with the very best in English literature. This is one of them, in which the water rat, made restless by the departure of the migrating birds, has an interesting encounter on his way home. The wayfarer was lean and keen-featured, his eyes much wrinkled at the corners, and he wore small gold earrings in his neatly set, well-shaped ears. His knitted jersey was of a faded blue, and his belongings were tied up in a blue cotton handkerchief. "I'm a seafaring rat," said the stranger, "and the port I originally hail from is Constantinople, a fair city and an ancient and glorious one. I'm in the coasting trade and rarely out of sight of land. It's the jolly times on shore that appeal as much to me as any seafaring. Oh, those southern seaports, the smell of them, the riding lights at night, the glamour. I was on a small trading vessel from Constantinople, sailing through classic seas to the Grecian islands and the Levant. Those were golden days and balmy nights, sleeping in some cool temple or ruined cistern during the heat of the day, feasting and song after sundown under great stars set in a velvet sky. Then we coasted up the Adriatic in an atmosphere of amber, rose and aquamarine. We roamed through ancient and noble cities until at last one morning, as the sun rose royally behind us, we rode into Venice down a path of gold. Oh, Venice is a fine city, wherein a rat can wander at his ease and take his pleasure, or, when weary of wandering, can sit at the edge of the Grand Canal at night, feasting with his friends, when the air is full of music and the sky full of stars, and the lights flash and shimmer on the polished steel prows of the swaying gondolas." He was silent for a time, and the water rat, silent too and enthralled, floated on dream canals and heard a phantom song pealing high between vaporous grey wave-lapped walls. "Southward we sailed again at last," continued the sea rat, "coasting down the Italian shore, till finally we made Palermo, and there I quit for a long, happy spell on shore. Sicily is one of my happy hunting grounds. I know everybody there, and their ways just suit me." Spellbound and quivering with excitement, the water rat followed the adventurer league by league, over stormy bays, through crowded roadsteads, across harbour bars on a racing tide, and up winding rivers that hid their busy little towns round a sudden turn. With beating heart he heard of adventures in a dozen seaports, the fights, the escapes, the rallies, the comradeships, the gallant undertakings. We searched islands for treasure, fished in still lagoons, and dozed day-long on warm white sand. Of deep-sea fishings he heard tell, of sudden perils, the noise of breakers on a moonless night, or the tall bows of the great liner overhead in the fog. Of headlands rounded, harbour lights opening, the groups seen dimly on the quay, the cheery hail, the splash of the hawser, the trudge up the steep little street towards the comforting glow of red-curtained windows. And now the adventurer was saying, "I take to the road again, holding on south-westward for many a long and dusty day, till at last I reach the little grey sea-town I know so well. I shall slip on board along a hawser, and then one morning I shall wake to the song and tramp of the sailors, the clink of the capstan, and the rattle of the anchor chain. We shall break out the jib, the white houses on the harbour side will glide slowly past us as she gathers steering way, and the voyage will have begun. And once outside, I'll hear the sounding slap of great green seas as she heels to the wind, pointing south." The voice died away and ceased, and the water rat, staring, saw at last but a distant speck on the white surface of the road, and his friend had gone.